Offense to anybody who likes that term. God, I'm so fucking overly sensitive. Hello, good morning for my floating head. Happy Wednesday. It feels really weird to be starting work in the middle of the week this week. And because I didn't work for 5 whole days, I had massive anxiety, which is what always happens. So I slept horribly and had like this, what felt like a repeated anxiety dream, like for several hours or just like for the whole night. Kept going in and out of the same theme that slightly changed each time I would wake up and go back to sleep, but it was always about listening for my alarm clock. I feel pretty good right now. I feel like pretty alert and stuff, but I just know later in the day it's going to get me. And I'm having a lot of anxiety because the last day I drove didn't go well. And it's like, I wish I had had a chance to drive between then and now because, you know, the more time that goes by without me driving builds up the anxiety. So we'll see how it goes. Today is going to be a little bit interesting for me because we are driving to DeKalb, Illinois, which is where I went to Northern Illinois University and double majored in art and journalism, and where I obtained the massive amount of student loan debt that I'm going into trucking to pay off. And I haven't been to DeKalb in a really long time, and I know it's going to stir up some weird feelings to go there. So anyway, heading out. It's a late start today. Going to get there at 6 a.m. at the yard and head out from there. So yeah, that's about it. I'll update you as the day goes on. Quick update. Day is going well so far, although I'm starting to hit that tired point where I know I need a snack. My coffee is wearing off. I will talk about coffee at some point, but it's something I really need to work on, like managing, not overdoing, because that can be a real issue. Not just because it makes you pee, but also because it fucks with your energy. But we are at a place in the western sort of suburban area of Chicago. I guess I could just say we're in Bolingbrook. And we're like literally around the corner from a place where I have a truck stop where I've picked my dad up numerous times over the years. So it's always interesting to come down here. It's a place that feels pretty familiar to me. And my boss was going to have me drive by myself out from here or to here possibly. We were like originally going to go back to the city and then drop him off because he has a really important errand he has to run today, and it was going to be my first opportunity to drive by myself, and I was kind of excited about that, just to have the opportunity. And it's this kind of situation where I can tell that I'm at a point where the longer I'm with him, the less progress I'm going to make, not because he's not super helpful, but because I have to rely on my own wits instead of relying on him, if you know what I mean. So, but it didn't end up working out that way, so we are going to be together. However, it's a short day, which is really good for me because I didn't sleep last night really, and I'm going to have an early morning tomorrow, so it'll give me a chance to go to bed early today. DeKalb wasn't that significant for me. We weren't close enough to the campus, but I will make another video a little bit later and talk a little bit about what we were near that stirred up some interesting memories, and I'll talk about that. So anyway, I was just going on the longest spiel ever and realized that my camera wasn't even on. So I just got back from a nice short day, and I'm really grateful it was such a short day today because I'm really tired from not really sleeping last night, and I have a very early start tomorrow, so I'm going to try to take a nice hot bath in a little bit here and try to get to bed really early so I can get up early and drive to Michigan tomorrow. It's about a 4-hour drive that we have. And this is a nice light load that we picked up. It's only like 7,000 pounds. And I'm noticing that I'm starting to adapt as a driver in a sensory way to the feeling of driving different weights. And this morning I really noticed it when we were delivering a 42,000 pound load, and I could feel the difference between that and a 46 or 47,000 pound load, which feels much more challenging to drive. I was surprised that what I would think of as a relatively small amount of weight would feel that different, but it really did. So I mentioned proprioception in a previous video, and what that basically, let me do my best to define it in a nutshell. It's basically like your body has a whole system of, it's like your sensory receptors in your body, like in the bottoms of your feet and in your hands. And I think it might be broader than just like your sense of touch, but it's like basically how your brain understands where it's oriented in the world and the forces that are acting on your body. When you're driving a truck, one of the things that's been really challenging for me is like when we unload, then driving the truck when it's empty again, I have to like really concentrate to not slam on the brakes because it's like a huge adjustment. And I'm getting better at that because anyone who's been trucking for a period of time won't slam on their brakes unless they somehow like are so tired they forget that they just unloaded, which I'm sure happens to people. But it made me realize I'm starting to adapt in a sensory way. Like my brain is slowly starting to adapt to the feeling of moving weight and like the inertia and the feeling of the weight behind you that you're pulling and that is pushing against you when you come to a stop and all those things. So that's kind of cool. I think whenever I start doing something brand new, and I wonder if other people experience this, that you have this when you're afraid or you're anxious about your ability to pick up this new skill, there's this little part of you that's like, I'm never going to get this down, you know? What I've gotten better at as I've gotten older is talking myself through that and saying to myself, every new skill is something that your brain has to learn, and you have to give it time to adjust and like trust that it's a machine that is going to learn because that's what it's built for. I'm learning slowly. Today was a much better day, even though I was like a little nervous going into it. It ended up being a much better day until the very end when I had to back into a spot that wasn't hard to back into, and it's raining cats and dogs. My boss needs to go because he has to be he needs to get something taken care of that's kind of time sensitive, needs to get it done today. And the poor guy is out there in the rain, and of course the rain starts picking up when I'm trying to back into the spot, and I can't, because of the rain on my windows and on my rear view mirrors, I can't see very well to back. So it took me like so many tries to back into the spot, and like earlier times I backed the truck today, I had way less of an issue, partly because it wasn't raining like that. But I felt so bad. I'm like, this poor guy's getting drenched and I'm taking forever. And he's so patient. And then finally, like, I got to the spot. He's like, okay, see you tomorrow. And I was still in the truck. He's like skedaddled. Okay, so I'm going to tell a quick story that I referred to in the earlier clip about what I saw in DeKalb that was like a sort of blast from the past situation. So when I was in college, it was a summer in between semesters, and at that time I didn't have a car and I needed a job, and I think I had already done another job during that summer. I had been working in a restaurant, and I think I quit because I wasn't making enough money or something like that. I just didn't like working there. So I went to a temp agency, and I just got this job at this factory. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I quit the factory job and went to the restaurant. That's what it was, because the factory was so hard. I worked at a 3M plant, which we ended up driving past today. We actually didn't drive by the campus because the industrial part of DeKalb is kind of farther south. So I didn't see anything triggering. No, I'm just kidding. So this factory, I had already been working in restaurants, so I'd already spent time working with immigrants, working with people who come from other countries and are often, or pretty much always, super hard workers that will work you, they will outwork you any day of the week. You know, I already had like respect for people like that and empathy, but I had a whole new level of that when I started working in this factory. And it was a 3M plant where my whole job was I was on the factory floor. I was one of only two white employees who were like native born American citizens or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that everyone else that was on the factory floor was probably an undocumented worker. And then the only other white people that worked there were in the air-conditioned office. The rest of us were on this factory floor. It was hot. It was so dirty. Like, even though you were standing in one spot all day and just counting out envelopes, you would just feel covered in dirt you would be covered in dirt by the end of the day. Your whole body, because you're standing on a concrete floor for 10 hours and you got like a 15-minute break. I think you got two 15-minute breaks and a half-hour break. The breaks went so fast. It felt like a blink of an eye because it was so exhausting and mind-numbing to do this job. I lived in DeKalb, so I made a buddy there, ended up being my roommate later. It's this guy, Steve, who was a real sweetheart. Steve would pick me up and give me a ride to the factory every morning because he had a car, obviously. And everybody else that was working on the factory floor came from Rockford, which is like a 45-minute plus drive to DeKalb, or maybe closer to an hour, somewhere in there. And they would get up at 4 a.m. and take a bus to this plant and work for 10 hours and then go home at night and do it four days a week. That was the schedule that they were on. It was a 40-hour week because, of course, they weren't going to pay anyone overtime. I know I can describe it and it sounds like, oh yes, you stood in one spot and counted envelopes all day. No, you don't even know. You don't understand. It is the most physically painful job I've ever had. It was the most grueling job I've ever had. And it was partly because it was so hot. It was like this stale air in this factory. There's probably a couple ceiling fans are just blowing dirt around. And it's the mind-numbing nature of the work. Like, maybe machines are doing that work now, but I was just like so struck. And like a couple things I remember, well, we passed the time, so that was when my 4 years of Spanish really came in handy. And there was this girl who worked across the line from me, this stunningly beautiful woman named Marilyn, and Steve worked closely with me, and he was totally in love with her. So I would do my best to translate as a, you know, very remedial Spanish speaker, and like help him talk to her, and like also talk with her all day. And my Spanish got much better during that period of time, but it was a lot of fun to like keep ourselves just talking about whatever, and she would tell me what words were because I didn't know a lot of shit. And that was like how we stayed entertained. But like one of the other memories that always sticks with me is there was a young woman working on the factory floor who was probably like 16 or 17, and she was pregnant, and she was probably like 6 months pregnant. And I just remember being appalled that this poor girl had to stand for the whole day, that they didn't give her a chair because she was pregnant enough that she absolutely could have done that job seated. And I was just like, what kind of assholes are these people that are running this show that see that this girl is pregnant and don't even let her sit down to do this job? It was really strange to me, and it was really fucked up. The long story short was, I always bristle when I hear people complain about undocumented workers taking American jobs, because I'm telling you right now, that place was evidence. Like, me and Steve are the only white people in there willing to do that shit, and I could not hang. And after a month, I was out because my body could not handle it, and I was making so little money that it didn't feel worth it. And I also remember that it was a 4-day work week, so the 3 days in between, you'd be like, oh, you get a 3-day weekend though. No, it doesn't feel like 3 days, because your body hurts and you're so fucking exhausted by the end of it. You're just like, no. And when you're not there, because of the exhaustion it causes, all you want to do is sleep. No, that gave me a whole new respect for what people go through, and those are jobs that no one would want, and they're probably being done by a machine by now, but who knows, maybe they're being done by people. I also heard not too long after I left there that a guy was maimed by one of the machines and lost a couple of fingers, which was not surprising. And it's just like, these are the things that people go through so that they can have a better life for their family, and it's just an enormous sacrifice. And ever since I had that job, I just have a completely different mindset. And I wish that every person who has that kind of like anger toward undocumented workers would spend some time in an environment like that, working alongside those people, and maybe it would give them some understanding of like, these are really jobs you don't want, trust me. So anyway, I wasn't trying to turn this into a like the more you know kind of thing, or like a preach fest. I'm just sharing my own experience. That was an incredibly powerful experience for me. And every time I think of the hard jobs I've done, because I've done a bunch of them, that one stands out as the hardest. It's harder than what I'm doing now by far. So anyway, that's my spiel. This is a really long clip because it's Wednesday. I only got 2 more days of the week left. Try to get some footage from job sites if there's anything interesting to show you. Oh, all right, just got a little workout in after driving for a while. Let's see, what time is it? Sorry, I'm in northern Michigan. There's also the time change to consider. We got here at 11, started driving at 3 a.m., but it would be 10 our time. So it's been like 7 hours of driving, minus a couple of very quick breaks. And an unload, one other unload earlier that was really quick actually. We're picking up a load of lumber, and I've been spoiled by like, the load that we delivered this morning was only 7,000 pounds, which is the perfect load to drive. It's like just enough so you're not driving an empty truck, which is gonna get blown around by the wind and whatnot, but it's not too much that it's like, you know, makes braking and makes things more nerve-wracking. Makes it so you have to start braking really far ahead. We're picking up lumber in this place that is enormous in northern Michigan. And just to give you an idea of what it looks like here, and there's like a long line of trucks coming through. It's like just a very efficient operation. People that work here are super friendly, so that's cool. Sorry if this is a little shaky. I just started feeling kind of shaky. I wish I had brought more to eat with me today. That's about it. So here's something I thought you might find interesting. I sure did. So this was outside of the place that I was just filming in. And I have a close-up shot in a second here. You can kind of tell, unfortunately, there was snow hitting the windshield, so it was a little bit difficult to see. But this is basically sawdust that is inside that trailer. And obviously the driver is not inside the cab at that point, and the truck is secured so it can't roll anywhere. But they tilt this truck up to like a 45-degree angle to dump this, I guess it's like sawdust that's used in making this composite material for shelving, I believe it is, which is what we just picked up stacks of. And this is how they get it out of the truck. And I've never seen anything like that. And if you haven't seen anything like that, I thought you would find that as interesting as I did. Kind of weird, huh? So I normally don't like to film while driving, but I'm pretty much in this awesome bumper to bumper on Lakeshore Drive here, which sometimes is a really pretty drive, but not when you drove already almost 500 miles and you've been driving since 3 a.m. and then you got to drive back, and it's about an hour and a half commute today because there have been multiple accidents. So I don't want to contribute to that and keep my phone out, but this is my commute home. Gotta love it. Howdy. I'm about to hop in the tub after a very long day. So I think the last video you saw was probably my commute home. So annoying. I will say though, it's funny how after driving the truck all day, it's like driving a car, especially because this car, which I won't have for much longer, but it has the most glorious thing ever, which is adaptive cruise control, which basically is I would say it's a hybrid version of self-driving. And of course, I never take my hands off the wheel and I'm always looking straight ahead. I'm not like zoning out or anything, but when you're super exhausted from a long drive in a truck, and like when you've had to have so much more attention and focus while you're driving a truck, it feels like absolutely nothing to drive a car like that. It's just so nice. It's such a relief. Today went pretty well driving wise. I still am having some of the same issues, but I feel like a big part of my problem is just having my trainer there is like I'm leaning on him too much, and I know that I think I will improve once I'm on my own. I'm sure I'll have some rough moments and make some mistakes, but this is a long-standing truth about me, is that I have a harder time just trusting my gut, and I tend to second guess myself too much. That leads to me making mistakes because instead of actually like being decisive while I'm in a moment, I will hesitate. And when I don't have someone else to lean on, it's like I'm waiting for him to correct me. And there's so many times now where he'll correct me in a split second before he does. I'm like, he's about to say this, he's about to say that, which tells me I know what I'm supposed to do, but I keep doing things the wrong way a lot of the time anyway. I would say 90% of my challenges are relating with turns, on and off ramps, and shifting, you know. It's always a lot harder for me while loaded, of course, and driving home today with that part of the way back. I didn't actually drive the whole way back. I slept for a bit on the way back. Slept because trying to sleep in the sleeper with being on the roads in Indiana, which are terrible, so you're just bouncing all over the place. Like I sort of fall asleep. I probably did get a decent nap in there. It's not really good quality sleep, but I'll take it. It's better than nothing. Driving back today loaded with like 46,000 pounds. You know, I'm getting better in general, and obviously this is another no-brainer, but the more fatigued I am, the more dumb mistakes I make. I didn't really feel like I made too many dumb mistakes today. Today was a better day. But I will say this, I wonder if other drivers have this. Do you get so tired at a certain point? This was like right before I was done driving for like the last half hour, where I swear I have to like force myself to close my mouth because my jaw is like hanging open and I have this I bet I look like a real piece of work to anybody who happens to see my face I'm driving by, just like slack-jawed, glassy-eyed, just like staring straight ahead. Oh, and it was snowing a lot of the way back too, but it was really beautiful up in Michigan, even with the snow. It wasn't the kind of snow that really affected visibility, so I didn't mind it too much. This video's too long. That's all I got to say. It's tub time. Good morning from Iowa somewhere. I don't know what town I'm in. I'm having a terrible morning, and I usually try to avoid using adjectives like that because I think language is important, and the way that we say things frames them for ourselves in ways that can make them feel different than they actually are, you know, like you make it feel worse. I've heard people in recovery refer to that as awfulizing, which is I think that's kind of dumb. A dumb way to say it, but it gets the point across. No offense to anybody who likes that term. God, I'm so fucking overly sensitive. It was just a really shitty drive, and I'm really exhausted, and I feel like I'm on the verge of tears here and there again because I just can't fucking stand trying to do something that's new and difficult when I'm exhausted and sucking at it over and over and over again. And it's just this constant every week, especially by the third day in a row. That's usually when I start to crack, and that's what's happening today. It's a very rough day, and I'm very unhappy, and I've got a lot more hours to drive. So you want to hear something hilarious? Our day just got even better because, ooh, there's a hawk. I wonder if you can see it. So, turns out the broker fucked up, and the place that we're supposed to be dropping off this Formica, whatever it is, they don't work on Fridays. They only work Monday through Thursday, so there's no one here to unload us. So I guess the broker is trying to find another place in the area that we can drop off to, but we just drove like, I don't know exactly how many miles. It's like 9 a.m. and we've been driving since like 3:30, 3:45, basically. We stopped once. I really need to pee, and because this is not a place where there's anything open, I can't go here, so I'm gonna wait a while. This is a very strange day, and it's been a very stressful day because my driving has been absolute fucking dog shit, like the worst ever, and I'm so over it. I'm so fucking over it. Like, I don't think I have yet been this frustrated with myself and my driving. It's completely, inexcusably, objectively fucking terrible, and I just needed to rant for a minute, apparently. So we might be driving this load back to fucking Chicago now, and like also losing another load that we had scheduled today. My boss is really pissed. He's been doing this for over 10 years, and he said he's never had this happen before. He's like super surprised by it. We are stopped at a Flying J. I think we only have like an hour and a half or something till we get back to the yard, but I wish I could be done driving. I'm praying he comes back from paying for the fuel and says he's driving the rest of the way, but I don't think he is. I'm so tired. I just do not feel like it anymore. But I'm listening to the Seth Rogen book, and it's been pretty entertaining. It's keeping me going. I wish this cab didn't fucking reek like cigarettes. It is a real bummer. It's like, it would bother me on any day, but today I just have had a persistent headache, and it's really bumming me out. I just want to be done. I'm just exhausted. I'm over it. Had a very rough end of the day today, or rest of the day after we left the job site that we could not unload at. It started off okay. We waited for over an hour there. The broker was going to try to find another place for us to drop that load. Couldn't find one apparently. He called back like 2 hours later when we were far away from there. I don't know if he expected us to wait that long. And luckily we found a spot nearby that was secure where we could leave the trailer. And so we bobtailed back, which was very annoying. And for anyone who's not a truck driver or doesn't know how this works, a truck is made to, like, the braking is made to function the best when a trailer is fully loaded or a truck is fully loaded. So when you're going bobtail, which means no trailer, it's just the tractor, the braking doesn't feel as right. And it's hard to explain because I'm not very good at explaining these things or fully understanding how they work. But basically the shifting and braking kind of sucks when you're bobtail. So I drove all the way back from another, I don't know, 5 hours or something. I think I drove for a total of like 10 hours today. I was so tired, and I really didn't want to drive the entire way back, and I didn't anticipate driving the entire way back. My driving just went downhill, not literally. The quality of my driving just got worse and worse and worse as the drive went on, and at a certain point I was just openly letting myself cry because I was so angry and frustrated. And I basically decided that I'm not going to do that again. Like at a certain point, I'm just going to say I can't drive now because it's not benefiting anyone for me to be driving when I am no longer driving in any kind of a quality way. I'm not learning anything. I'm repeating mistakes over and over again. I'm at the end of my rope with frustration. It makes me want to quit and never come back. And I don't want to feel like that because I want to be set up for success. I'm working really hard. I'm dedicated to doing better, but I don't feel like I have the tools to do better when I am not able, because of my schedule, to get adequate sleep. And then I am being expected to drive past a point where I feel comfortable driving. So I'm really upset. I don't know how things are going to go, but I'm dreading going back to work on Monday because things were so rocky today. And I'm so tired, and I know that I'm not even going to be fully rested by Monday. There's no way, because I mean, I'm going to sleep tonight. I'll probably sleep for 10 hours or something, and I'll probably sleep for another 10 hours tomorrow night to catch up. What's going to happen is I'll probably only have time to sleep for about 4 hours on Monday night, and then again on Tuesday night, and then again on Wednesday night. And if that's the case, then I'm just not going to be training on Thursday. I'm off on Friday next week because I have a doctor's appointment, but basically I'm not going to drive next Thursday if I'm denied sleep like that because of the schedule, because I've already made it really clear I physically can't function. I can't drive in a way that I feel comfortable driving on so little sleep. And it's always by the third day that I really start to struggle. And at that point, where's the benefit? How am I learning anything from doing that? No, I'm fucking not. So I just had a very long commute home Friday night. Traffic is always awful. I forget what time it is. It's like 5, and I've been in my car. I've been driving. I've been behind the wheel since 2:45, 2:50 this morning, I want to say. I'm beyond fucking fried. I'm at the end of my rope, and I'm really not feeling good about the way things have gone this week. I feel like it's only gotten worse as the week has gone on, and I'm not making progress because I'm not physically capable of doing a job correctly because I'm too tired. So this week was fucking terrible, and I'm not happy, and that's the end of it. So who knows, maybe next week will be better. Let's hope. Sorry for being so negative. I'm just really disappointed in everything right now. I guess sometimes they're just going to be like that.